All right, so let's start going through these various influencer channels and start having some fun going over my shoulder and seeing how we do this in practice. We're going to be using this influencer SOP and tracker worksheet that you're going to have access to in the resources. And we're going to start off here in the SOP tab. We're actually going to have the SOP for Instagram influencers, YouTube influencers, and then authority sites, which is going to be in a different section of this module. So you can reference this anytime. I like to track all of them in one spot simply because they're all relatively correlated. So we basically just have a tab for Instagram, tab for YouTube, tab for authority sites. And then this main tab with the SOPs will show you exactly how to do it step by step. So starting off with Instagram, just to kind of summarize the process, basically what we start doing is I like to create an actual Instagram account that's directly associated with influencer outreach. So let's say that we've got a Birdie Golf Instagram account as an example. We may want to have just Birdie Influencer Management as another Instagram account. And the reason that we do this is I like to manage all the outreach for actual influencer contacts with that account. So we can basically just add the accounts that we want to reach out to. We can DM them from that account. It makes it a lot easier than commingling the two together. Although you can also send from your own branded Instagram if you'd like as well. We just find it easier to track and manage if we create a distinct Instagram account for this. Then we're going to basically go into Google, believe it or not, and we're going to search for a niche term, say golf, plus Instagram, plus that amzn.to link. The reason being is that we'll pull up all of the Instagram accounts that have actually used that AMZ link, which shows that they've likely either worked with other brands before and or we know for sure they're a part of the Amazon Associates affiliate program and may be interested in making some additional commission to promote products to their audience that they like. So we'll start there, and then there's some additional strategies. We can actually just search those niche terms on Instagram, like golf as an example, see what related accounts come up. We can look at competitor names. So if you've got hashtags of a competitor, we could throw those in there and see who's posting on hashtags or just generic niche hashtags and find them there. And then we can also look at any of the ones that we find that are interesting. There'll be suggested accounts that come down below that we can go ahead and add. So there's a bunch of different strategies we can use. We'll probably just do a couple just to show how it works. But you basically want to add as many of those that are relevant to your brand as possible and that fit within that like nano and micro influencer set, which is going to be the most affordable. Add them to that account, and then we'll have a pretty healthy list at that point. Then we're going to go back and add all those to the tracker and start the outreach. There's a couple ways to do this. You could yourself as the owner CEO kind of do that assessment yourself, add them onto an account, and then have somebody on your staff come in and basically add everything to the tracker and manage the outreach. Or you could do it all yourself, or you could entrust somebody in your team to do it. So there's a lot of different ways to separate that. But the next step is to go in and basically cultivate that tracker and start to reach out and communicate. And then just really monitor and track the ones that get back, and that will involve some negotiation back and forth, and you're going to obviously get to alignment with a number of them on what the structure is going to be. If you want, you can sign a contract. We'll include a influencer contract, just a basic one that you can leverage if you want to use one in the resources section. And then it's all about logistics and tracking. So we'll ship the product to the influencer, and then we'll track when it is that they actually fulfill on their commitment, whether it be a post, a story, etc. And we'll just kind of monitor that. And then the last thing that we like to do is just track performance and determine, hey, is this an influencer that we would want to work with again? If they are, we want to kind of add them to our list of influencers for future campaigns. And over time, we'll build up a number of these relationships that will make it a lot easier to deploy campaigns with known trusted influencers that we know work well with our brand moving forward. So let's just go over my shoulder here and see what this looks like. I'm actually going to go to Google to start. And then I'm just going to literally put golf plus Instagram plus AMZ and .to so you can see what this looks like. What you'll tend to find here is a lot of actual brands because they're using AMZ and .to in their actual link to their account. So you kind of want to look for ones that are a little bit more like actual people. So I'm going to click on this Greg Stratner and just see what comes up. So yeah, so this dude's a competitive golfer, self-published author. He actually has a book on it. This is a dude that we may want to reach out to. Again, I would just go ahead and follow him from our account, and that's one that we could add there. So you could do that method, go down Google and just see if you find any interesting ones using that first strategy and cultivate as many as you'd like on that. The next thing that we'll do is we'll just come in here and hit golf. And then we can see accounts that are related to golf. We can just kind of start scanning these and see if there's any interesting ones that we want to click on. Let's go to this golf blog person. So this could be an interesting one, right? It's like 3,200 followers. It's a nano. She's kind of trying to do some stuff with golf. She may not be American, which may influence whether we'd add them. But let's say that we kind of find this interesting. We go ahead and follow her. Now here's what's really cool about this. Once you've followed somebody, you can actually see all of the suggestions, right? So you can kind of come through here and look at all the suggestions. And we honestly get a ton of our ideas from the suggested ones, because it's going to find ones that are similar to that. So you can add the ones that are also similar. We'll come back here and maybe do a couple more. Let's go to this golf swing guide. So it's a little bit bigger. Let's just see. But you never know, these guys might be interesting. So let's say that we follow them. And then it's got, again, all these other suggestions that we could kind of add at the bottom. So we'll keep it at that. But again, this is something that you may take 30, 60 minutes to do initially, just to get that initial base. And then we like to come in here on a recurring basis and do this really daily, just so we're consistently kind of adding some to the mix and reaching out. But basically what you want to do is you want to go back to that Instagram account that you've created that's just for influencer outreach. And let's say that you follow 80 accounts. You're going to want to go into those followers and then basically just start adding these to your tracker. So if we go back to the influencer, we've got an Instagram tracker here. We got the account name. It's 58K followers. Boom. And next I like to throw in a relevancy score up to 10, which basically means like how aligned do we think this is with our target influencer? So is the size of the account, do we think conducive to affordability, that kind of aligns with where we don't have to pay them a lot of money? Do they have a really cool audience? What's the aesthetic of their photos? How good is their content going to be? Does it look like they're really engaged? I'm going to have all of those things kind of mapped out just to see how likely it is that they are. So this golf swing guide, since it's like kind of more generic, maybe this one's more like a 5. So later on, we can actually sort by relevance to determine how much we actually want to work with folks if we get into negotiations. And then the type, this might be like the type of product that we actually think they might be good for. So let's just say that this is our golf push cart they might be good for. I like to kind of put the product. Oftentimes, influencers will actually include an email in here. So if they include an email, we'll go ahead and throw that in there. You may go to their site if they've got one, and they might actually have a contact form. So you want to find all the ways that you can actually reach out to them as possible. And then it's basically just, did you send the DM or not? And so from here, we'll just send some DMs. We'll include some templated messages in the resources across all the different influencer outreach strategies, so you can use those. And then we basically attempt to communicate with them 2 times. So we'll send one, and then we'll send a follow-up. If we don't hear back from them at that point, we basically take them off the list. Once we've kind of gotten alignment on something to do, we'll also typically send an agreement, which again we'll include in the resources. And then we'll just have somebody put the notes in here, like once you've aligned on an actual contract or an agreement. So are we paying them? What are the terms? What are they actually going to be doing for us? Do they have any ideas on the actual promotional content? We'll fill that out here into the notes. We'll follow up to see if there's been an actual contract signed. Again, optional, but if you want to do that, you can kind of see if the contract's signed. We'll add all of the shipping information of the actual influencer, their name, their address, etc. Once we've agreed to terms, we'll list the product that they actually need to have sent. We'll include the cost of the influencer. So if it's just free product, we just put free product. If it was free product and say like $100, we put free product plus $100, something like that. Then we do a tracker on the shipments. So again, typically if they're in the US or a marketplace that we're selling in, we will fulfill that via Amazon. If they're an international influencer, we'll typically ship it from our 3PL and or our warehouses and our home base here in the US and send them out. So we basically just want to track whether or not that's been shipped. And then whether or not it's been received. Again, you can follow the tracking number on that just to see, hey, has it actually been delivered to them? And then we'll monitor to see if the content's been posted. And if we don't see the content posted based on the agreed upon structure that we kind of outlined when we did a deal with the influencer, we'll have some follow-ups with them just to see what's going on. Typically, if we're paying money, we'll try to pay via a business PayPal just in case they don't post or don't do their end of the bargain. It gives us an ability to claw that money back. So we're basically only out the free product that we would have sent them. And then based on all that experience, let's say that they posted the content, we'll review that. We'll kind of see what the impact was. We'll see the quality. We'll see if they fulfilled their end of the bargain. And generally kind of get an idea, is this somebody that we'd actually want to work with in the future or not? If they did an awesome job and we're kind of aligned, we throw them in the yes column. And then over time, if you're ever going to be doing a launch, let's say that we get this list up to like 2,000 that we've reached out to over time. Let's say that we've worked with 80 influencers. maybe like 50 of them are going to be yeses. Let's say we've got a launch coming up and we know it's going to be like in 6 weeks or something like that. We're just about ready to put it on the water. You could come into this at any time when you're doing a launch and basically just sort by the yeses and pull up all the ones that we want to work with. And it's really good for weaponizing these influencers when we're launching a product or we have a big event coming up that we want to kind of promote. So we can hit them up again, be like, hey, we loved working with you before. We've got a new product coming out. Let us know if the same terms work and we'll go ahead and ship it out to you. So it's really easy once you get some of these folks on board to leverage them again in the future. So in terms of managing this on a recurring basis, I think it's really important not to have a one and done campaign. I think a lot of people think of Instagram influencers and influencers in general as this discrete one-time thing that you do. We like to do this literally as a part of our daily or at least weekly routine where we're consistently reaching out to 5, 10, 15, 20 per day because the hit rate's pretty low, right? If you reach out to 100, maybe 10 get back to you and maybe 4 you work out a deal that makes sense financially for both sides. So 4 out of 100, it's like a 4% hit rate, right? Let's say that's your math. If you don't consistently reach out to folks, you don't tend to get the benefit, scale, and leverage and scalability that we want to see with these programs. So typically what we'll do is we'll come into the traffic section. Again, anything that's going to be driving clicks or traffic to a listing, we keep in this compartment within ClickUp. And then if you come down here, there's an influencer marketing section. And we can kind of just see the board here. And so what we might want to do here is create a recurring task within this particular section, right? So let's just go ahead and do a new task and then put reach out to 10 Instagram influencers daily. Hit save. And then I might go into this and let's say I assign Paulo, who does a lot of our traffic, assign him. Then I can go to this task and go to the due date, open that up. I could set a recurring task. I could either set this as weekly or daily. Let's say that I want him to do this daily, recur forever, or you could kind of manage that as well, and then just hit save. And then I could put, reach out to 10 influencers on Instagram daily, leveraging the SOP and tracking document found here. And then he's got that, we save it. And then that's going to show up in Paulo's daily task list. So every time he comes in to ClickUp in the morning, he's going to know, hey, these are my tasks I need to do. Some of them are one-off, some of them are recurring. This could be one that's recurring for him. And then what we typically like to do is once we've actually had a communication come back from an influencer, we'll actually have somebody on my team like tag me to review the contract details. So I might come in here and say, hey, review Instagram terms with XYZ. So then they'd kind of come in here, they'd add me. Here is the proposal for, and then we come back in here. Let's just pretend that this dude here is our one here. For what 55K followers, wants $200 plus product for 3 story posts. So then I could come in here on my day and see that I've got a to-do here, come in here and be like, yes, and then I might just be like, okay, approved. Please get signed copy of contract before sending funds. And then I might go ahead and add the next person that's responsible for this there. And then I'll put that in progress. And then they may come in here when that's done and say, okay, that's done. We now need to ship product to XYZ. And then we could put the tracking number for shipment when that's done. And then when that's complete, we'll just have that done over there. So this is how we use the workflow within ClickUp, which is super important to be able to scale your efforts, manage track things, and have things done in a really methodical, well thought out, scaled way. And once you get this engine going, I'm telling you, it doesn't take long before you literally have this army of, in this case, Instagram influencers and these really kind of structured daily tasks, and you get into this flow. It becomes easy. It's kind of like brushing your teeth, right? Okay, I'm going to reach out to 5, okay. We got another contract to review today, Kate. We got to ship out 2 things today, Kate. We're good to go, right? And what that starts to look like, if we go over, this is just an example of one of our, actually, this is a YouTube example, but you can kind of just see how this looks. I've crossed out the channel name and I'll have to blur out everything else, but you can see all the sub counts, the relevance, the type that we've got here, and then the ones that we have to actually ship out, ones that are requiring follow-up. We kind of have this like really dynamic list, over time, of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of influencers that just becomes an army that can work really well for success with your Amazon brand. So the next one, we're going to cover YouTube, which is very similar, but there's some distinct approaches to managing YouTube influencers we'll get into.